And we are back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we are now going to go take a deeper dive into the American League Wild Card Series. Both games, Rangers and Rays, Blue Jays and Twins, and I'll give my thoughts on that. So let's get into the first game, which is the Rangers and the Rays. Now, after the first game on Tuesday, I came in yesterday and I said I kind of lean towards Texas now. I think Texas is going to get it done. Because for me, I thought the Rays would take game one, and then the Rangers would take game two, and then game three would be, the Rays, I think, would take the series. But after what happened on Tuesday and how the Rays just made all these errors and they just didn't look, they couldn't get anything done offensively, I kind of favored the Rangers now going into yesterday. And the Rangers, they dominated. The score ended up being 7-1. 12 hits they got to the Rays 8. Rays had a lot of hits. They just couldn't get any runs across. Valdi got the win. Eflin really didn't pitch that well. He got the loss. And the Rays end up going home again in the wild card round. And everybody in the lineup yesterday for the Rangers got a hit. Simeon was 1 for 5, Seager 2 for 4, Grossman 1 for 5, Garcia had a home run. He went 1 for 5, Nathaniel Lau 1 for 5 with an RBI. Jonah Heim went 1 for 4, Tavares 1 for 4. Josh Young had a great game, 3 for 4, and Evan Carter had a 2-run home run. He was 1 for 2. So we look at the scoring summaries. So Adolis Garcia, he hit a home run. Josh Young tripled. That scored Tavares, Evan Carter, 2-run home run to make it 4-0. And this was all in the top of the fourth. Then in the top of the fifth, Nathaniel Lau grounded out. That scored a run, so that made it 5-0. Marcus Simeon doubled in the top of the sixth to make it 6-0. Corey Seager, he doubled to score Simeon, so that made it 7-0. And the Rays scored their first and only run of the series in the bottom of the seventh. Curtis Mead, he singled, and that drove in a run. So that was the final score, 7-1. Nathan Eovaldi pitched very well. 6 2/3, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts, and the bullpen did their job. I cannot pronounce this guy. Sabors pitched an inning and a third, and I sounded like a bee when I said that. An inning and a third, no hits, 1 strikeout, and then Leclerc, that's how you pronounce his name, pitched an inning, the ninth, and he had 2 strikeouts. So the bullpen did their job. I'm trying to hold off a sneeze here. That ended up... Okay, so we're good. So Rangers pitching has done very well so far in these 2 games. So we'll see how they fare against the Orioles. And then you go on the the Rays side of things. Eflin went 5 innings, 4 earned runs, 8 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. He gave up 2 home runs. And the bullpen gave up 2 earned runs. Poche, he was responsible for 2 runs. Armstrong pitched an inning, didn't give up anything, and Littell pitched and had 4 strikeouts. He pitched 2 innings. So, but yeah, the Rays just couldn't get anything done. They just couldn't. They really nothing offensively. And looking on social media, people are talking about Kevin Cash and how I think people want Kevin Cash gone, thinking he's the problem. And then you got people saying, well, they had injuries and, some of the players that they have, like, they're talking about, like, they need a catcher, they need a shortstop, which, yeah, they do. The Rays, listen, they are a very good regular season team. They are. But when they get to the postseason, they do nothing. 2021 was supposed to be their year. And they ended up losing to a Red Sox team that at the time was not really supposed to do anything and was considered rebuilding. And they beat them, and I think in 4 games. Then last year you lose to the Guardians in 2 games. And now you win 99 games. You had the American League East lead by a lot, and then you gave it away to the Orioles, and then you got knocked out in 2 games. So I was never a Rays believer. I thought they could at least get to the next round. But listen, I just, the way Texas was playing, I just felt like, yeah, they could at least get past them. But again, momentum, I thought it would lead to something. It didn't lead to anything. Rangers came in and they were the better team. They capitalized on errors and mistakes that the Rays made. Rays just couldn't get anything going. And now the Rangers move on and they play the Orioles, which I think is going to be a fun series. I really do. But we'll have to wait and see on that. But, yeah. And then you move on to the Twins and the Blue Jays. And the Twins shut them out. 2-0. Sonny Gray pitched very well. Barrios, he ended up getting the loss in that game. He was taken out in the 4th inning. He got charged with an earned run. He had 5 strikeouts. Kikuchi pitched an inning in 2/3. He only gave up 1 run. And then the rest of the bullpen, they didn't give up anything. But the Blue Jays just could not get anything. They had guys on base, but they just couldn't get anything done. I mean, Matt Chapman, by inches, hit a foul ball down the left field line. That would have been a bases-clearing double. That would have gave the Blue Jays the lead. And it ended up being foul, and he grounded out into a double play. And then you had Vladimir Guerrero, which he's getting killed today. He was getting killed yesterday because let's see, I think it was it the 5th inning? Let's see. So it was in the top of the 5th. You had guys at 2nd and 3rd with 2 outs, and he got picked off at second base. And that was a killer because that ended another Blue Jays rally right there. So he's getting killed today for that. There were only 2 runs scored in the game, and they were both in the bottom of the 4th. Correa had a single that scored a run, and then Willie Castro, he grounded into a double play that scored a run as well. And that was all the scoring. But the main topic is obviously what John Schneider, the manager, decided to do and take out Jose Barrios in the 4th inning and put in Kikuchi, who's a starting pitcher. Now, we have seen this. Now, the Blue Jays did something similar last year where they took out Kevin Gausman when they were up 8-1 against the Mariners, and then the Mariners came back and won that game. But the difference is that they were up 8-1. They should not have blown that lead, but they ended up doing that anyways. Here, after the game, he was saying how Barrios had electric stuff, and people are saying, well, why'd you take him out? They yanked him so fast to put in Kikuchi, who's a starting pitcher, who's not used to be putting in that kind of a role, and you end up losing the game because of that 1 inning. Blue Jays could not get anything going offensively, and when they did, they would make mistakes. But we've seen, back to the original point with John Schneider, he takes out Barrios, he puts in Kikuchi, and we've seen that before. 2020, there are 2 instances. Well, one of them is a lot more similar just because you're involving 2 starters. So the Yankees against the Rays, they started Davy Garcia. I forget which game it was in that series, in that division series, during the COVID season. Start Davy Garcia, then all of a sudden you put in J-Hap. And then J-Hap doesn't pitch well and gives up the lead, and you lose that game. And it's like, why are you doing that? The problem, it's just these analytics. Listen, there's a lot of benefits when it comes to them, but in situations like that, that's where it backfires. And especially when you even say in your press conference that Barrios had electric stuff, why are you taking him out of the game? It's. You're putting in another starter. It's just, and that's what costed them the game, is that. And then let's not forget when they took out Kevin Cash took out Blake Snell in the World Series. Nobody forgives him for that. Rays fans remember. They don't forget. They're not happy with that. It's just managers now, they don't really. A lot of people don't feel like managers have a role like they did back in the day. So, you can't really kill some of them for some of the moves that are made. But they're the ones that are carrying out a plan that, from the front office. So, yeah, John Schneider was the one that made the move. But he's doing what the front office wants him to do. So, I mean, listen, it wasn't the right move, and it cost them the game. But you know what? The bigger thing here is the Blue Jays offense. That's why they lost. That's why they lost the series. The Twins really didn't do anything. You know, they game one was the game of Royce Lewis. 2 home runs. Pablo Lopez pitched well. And then yesterday, Sonny Gray pitched well, and it was 1 inning. One guy was game 1, 1 inning was game 2. And they couldn't do anything. Vlad gets picked off. Double plays they grounded into. And they're done. They're done. And they kind of came into the playoffs flat. And they gave the Twins their first playoff series win in a long time. So, I mean, you got to give credit to the Twins. And listen, like, they could definitely upset the Astros right now the way the Astros were playing. Now it's playoff time. But Sonny Gray and Pablo Lopez, they pitch like that. Twins got a great chance to win the series, but they're going to have to score more runs because now you're playing the defending champs in Houston, well, for the first 2 games. So, but for the Blue Jays, I mean, people are complaining. One of the things also is the Varsho trade. They traded for Matt Varsho, and they traded Lourdes Gurriel Jr. to the Diamondbacks. And Gurriel Jr. is having a better season than Varsho is. And I think, the reason why the Blue Jays made that trade, because that's another team that, because reading the comments, I was like, wow, this is like reading a Yankee fan page. Because it's all about, all we have is sluggers and right-handed hitters, and I'm like, wow, this sounds familiar. This sounds very familiar, because I know all too well about this. And the Blue Jays have a good pitching staff. It's just the offense, again, did nothing. Second day in a row, and now they're going home. So the Blue Jays, they got to figure some stuff out. I mean, people are talking about tearing it down and rebuilding. I mean, I don't know if they're going to do that. But, I mean, the Blue Jays tried to fix it, bringing in Brandon Belt, Kiermaier, trading for Varsho, but really didn't do much. And a lot of people are mad at Vladimir Guerrero, especially for what he did yesterday. But Vlad's a really good player. And, listen, he's not going anywhere. So, but I don't know. I don't know what the Blue Jays are going to do. But it was a very disappointing season, end to their season as well. So the American League East is done except for the Orioles. So who would have thought of that? The Orioles being the last American League East team standing at this point in the season. Not that many people. But, but listen, I got the American League wrong. I mean, listen, I could tell after the first game for both. I was like, might have made the wrong pick with these. So, I mean, listen, like again, the Rangers, great really good lineup. I just thought the way they came in, I didn't think they were gonna, win the series. And then the Blue Jays, I just thought, listen, they're the better team. But the Twins proved otherwise. And now you got Carlos Correa playing against his former team in the next round, so that's going to be fun. And Rangers and the Orioles, that should be a good series too. So I'm really looking forward to both of those. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the American League side of things. So with that, we're going to take our second break of the show, and then when we come back, I will discuss now the National League side of things when it comes to the wild card. So stick around, and we will be right back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast.